Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong, welcome to the back office. I've got something really fun today, look at this. Yes, this is transfer paper. This allows you to make your own designs on t-shirts because I'm a fan of t-shirts. I tend to wear them under everything at the moment because I'm cold, it's the winter here. And then in the summer, you like to wear it out and about. And the problem with t-shirts is, you know, those cool graphics tees that we all love cost so much money. There's only so many Adventure Time and Thundercats t-shirts that I can afford in a season, a summer season. So what I thought would be a bit of fun is I bought this paper. I'm going to try to make some designs on it and see how they fare on a t-shirt. And while we're at it, look, let's just open it up. In essence, you put this paper into your printer, you print your design on it, and then you iron it onto your clothing. I think that's pretty standard. We're all familiar with this. I'm going to take a piece of this paper out. There we go. It's got a backing paper grid on the back. On the front, it just looks like normal paper, really. There's not much to discern. I think it does peel off, though. I think when you iron it, this is like a kind of a plastic layer. So your ink gets printed onto this plastic layer, and then you put that on the clothing and you iron over, and the plastic layer actually melts a little bit like glue gun glue, and then that all gets stuck onto your t-shirt. And there are differences in these, and when you order the kit, you can order it either with for dark material or for light material. And the reason is, if it's for light material, this glue layer is actually clear, so that if you want to print something with a white, you know, if you think, again, using Adventure Time as a reference, you've got Finn the Human's hat is white. If you want that to actually appear white on a dark t-shirt, you need to have the white backing paper, because if you imagine it can't print on clear. You can't print white on a printer. So this clear stuff is really best used on a white t-shirt or a very light t-shirt. If you're using, say, a grey t-shirt, you're never going to get white, so you might be better for line drawing. So I've got clear and white t-shirts, so that's the easiest option for thing. So you've got options here. You can see I've got this ancient computer set up here. It's the one the kids use, and in fact this is Tux Paint, which is a free drawing package for kids, and they love that. So if you start with a normal drawing package and a white background, you can draw anything here and then print it straight off onto that paper, and it should work. Alternatively, as this printer is a scanner, I could draw something by hand and literally scan it and copy it straight onto the paper, so I don't even need a computer. So if you don't actually have a computer at home and you want to do some line art, you can do that. If you have some pictures on the internet, be aware of copyright. You know, really, and well, I say really, definitely you're not supposed to take pictures from all your favorite TV characters or video game characters and put them on your own t-shirts, but frankly, if you're not selling them, you're probably going to be all right. I don't think that Sega are going to come around and slap you for putting a Sonic the Hedgehog on your kid's t-shirt. So what I'm going to do is just make a sort of a test drawing on here, really, or possibly I might try to find some art off the internet. And I think we need to just go through the process before we start working on that grand masterpiece. I've got this jolly picture of a fire engine. That's about as creative as I've got at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print that out on some standard A4 paper, and we'll see how that looks, because you're going to want to make sure that it works, you know, it looks well, it's well composited on your A4 paper before you print it on your expensive transfer paper. Reading the transfer paper instructions, it said pretty much just go for the normal plain paper options, and if there is a transfer paper option in your printer drivers, go for that. If not, just go for the plain paper option. And what it says, if you print that and it looks like the ink is too wet, like it's not drying on the paper correctly, just turn down the density option in your printer driver. We have our jolly fire engine print. You know, that could look good on a t-shirt. Not very inspirational or witty or funny, but you know, it's a solid fire engine, it's good. Now what else you'll need is these, and this is a whole bunch of t-shirts, and look, we have here 1, 2, 3, 4. So at least 4 to be getting on with, that's plenty. These are from Matalan or somewhere like that, and they're pretty cheap. If you go online, you can get your 5 Fruit of the Loom t-shirts for 20 quid. You know, you can get a lot of t-shirts for the same price as one printed tee, let's put it that way. And remove all the labels. So what you'll find is sometimes they've got these adhesive sticky labels, just get rid of those. The tags, you could really leave them if you want, but if they're any chance they're going to get in the way of the ironing, I would just take it off completely. So the t-shirt is kind of ready, which means now really all we need to do is print this on the actual transfer paper, because I'll just show you, if we take the t-shirt and take the print, there we go. You can see that it'll fit nicely. So once we cut around the whole t-shirt here, it'll sit kind of nicely in the middle. So we don't really need to play with the size anymore. This is a good time though, while you're printing it on draft paper, just to really play with the size and put any text or letters you want. And then the next stage, printing that and on the actual paper. I've got my iron here. Fortunately, it has a separate button for steam. You don't want any steam in this process. The best I could find was one of my kids' old t-shirts, which I think will be perfect for this test run. It's a bit crinkled, so I'm going to probably iron this quickly first. What the instructions say is to make sure your iron is on the hottest temperature and do not use a travel iron, because it will not be able to get hot enough. You have to use a table, and on that table you put a towel down, because you need something really flat, and an ironing board apparently is too soft to do it. And what they say is to take your design and cut 5mm around the whole edge of that. Now I'm going to use these kiddie scissors and do a reasonably good job, but I'm not going to take a massive amount of care because we know this is kind of a test run. I'm quite cognizant of the fact actually we're wasting quite a lot of this paper, so what you want to do is make sure you save the offcuts, because I'm going to do a little test, and you can try this at home, because if you have some Sharpies or similar pens, I think their ink will be somewhat similar to printer ink, and you should be able to draw on those, and then you can iron those onto your kids' tops. So if you have kids, well, I say kids, it could be your own, but I'm going to do it because I've got kids, and I think that would be quite a nice arts and craft thing, just to get them to use their felt tip pens to draw these designs, and we can stick them all over one of their t-shirts, a bit like what I'm doing now. And I said before, it's a bit naughty taking copyrighted material, which is really anything you find on the internet. You know, any of your comic book characters or video game characters are going to be copyright. If you draw them yourself or you parody them, then I think there's some sort of fair use thing. But it's a kind of it's a bit of a naughty one. But if you're going to take a video game character, you could potentially put that on your kid's t-shirt. Right, so there we go, that's all cut out. 5mm edge around there. I've not bothered trimming in these areas. And just to show you, remember this is clear when it's transferred, but if you had it on a white background, you can imagine how this white background would look if you're printing on a black t-shirt. So you've got to decide how much work you want, because if you're going to put this on a black t-shirt and you're going to have to cut around everything, and you didn't want all this huge amount of white, you're going to spend a lot of time trimming this. Okay, first things first, this t-shirt is a little bit creased, so I'm just going to run the iron on the area that we're going to put the transfer on so there's no creases. We want to make sure, again, no steam. You don't want any dampness onto this because it's going to affect the adhesion. This t-shirt's quite clean actually. It's reasonably low amount of stainage on it for one of my kids, which is good. I'm going to pop that right there. My F is for fire engine, right in the belly area. It's the only area it can fit actually between these two pockets. And I'm going to just work the iron. I can already see that this bit here kind of stuck a little bit. Yep. It's already kind of, ow, very hot. It's already sort of stuck down a bit. And I'm just going to take the instructions here. Let's see how long it says to do it for. See, keep ironing it for about 60 to 90 seconds for an A5 image, or 100 to 120 seconds for an A4 image. So that's nearly a minute and a half really for something this size. So I'm just going to keep working it. I think it's as simple as that. Now remember, your iron isn't going to be the equal temperature across the plate on the back, on the bottom. So this center area is going to really concentrate the heat. So you probably want to make sure that you're moving that center area right over the edges, because the last thing you want is a large amount of adhesion in the middle and then no adhesion on the edges. So when you come to peel it off, you're going to have a lot of problems with that. Just reading the instructions while I'm doing this, it says to wash, for washing instructions, turn the garment inside out before washing. Maximum wash temperature is 40 degrees C. Do not use bleach and do not use a tumble dryer. Yeah, because a tumble dryer will try to melt this thing back off. Remove the protective paper whilst the garment is still warm. Yeah, you're never going to get this off once it's cooled. It says if the image bleeds when printing, reduce the amount of ink used by increasing the brightness of the image by 10%. So that's quite a good tip. If your printer software doesn't allow you to change the ink density, yet you can adjust the brightness or gamma. I think by my watch is telling me that we are nearly there now. Let's just give it one last pass. I can feel the heat coming off this. There's a lot of heat's been absorbed into this material, so I think you've got to be careful of what you're trying to transfer to. Probably these cotton polyester type fabrics. I do recall reading somewhere that they advise you use a 50% minimum cotton content. So you need something that'll take the heat. Right, that's enough. Yep, really, really hot, so be careful. And I'm going to just start at the edge here. Ow. Let's start at a different edge. That wasn't a particularly useful one. I'm kind of scared really because, oh yes, I can see it. I couldn't really see the difference between the backing paper and the actual print itself, but now I can. It's a little bit sticky. I'm not sure how, how sticky it's supposed to be. I would kind of hope it would come away easier than that. But it does seem to have adhered. I'm going to be a bit more careful because I'm actually ripping the paper. It's not coming off in a single piece. So if that happens to you, maybe slow down a bit, work the edge. There we go. Put it down flat again. Let me work this edge slowly. It's a bit like taking a label off something. If you rush it and it gets a tear, you'll spend all your time trying to drag that edge back. If ever you've had the joy of having to remove wallpaper, you'll experience the same thing. There we go. Yes, it's happening, everybody. Look at that, wonderful. I think that's incredibly good. That's come out very convincingly. Look, F is for fire engine. You know, I'm feeling that with my hand. That feels legit. That's the actual glue has really sort of embossed itself into that. And just to sort of prove the point a little bit, I think if you touch the iron on this, by the way, that'll be dangerous. Don't do that. But I think that it feels to me that it's really adhered in, and I'm looking at the edges closely, and I can see here on this edge, for example, that I could have done a little bit better on that edge. You know, I could have just got that adhesion, and dare I, if I put the paper back on, I'm just going to test this. I could ruin this t-shirt now that it's so nicely done, but I think if I'm careful and I use the backing paper and with the grid side up, you see these blue lines, I might just be able to work it, and then, yeah, see, I'm peeling off back towards the edge. There we go. Yeah, that's got that edge sorted out now, but it has pulled a little bit of the topping there, so it's up to you whether or not you want to risk it. So there you have it. F is for fire engine. A lovely t-shirt. You know, my son is going to be absolutely chuffed about that. You know, that's really good. And the fact is that now we've got a whole pack of 20 sheets of this, and you could do 20 t-shirts as whatever design you want. Maybe the sports team, you know, your rugby, sort of local kids rugby team, something like that. Cartoon characters, their own drawings, pictures, photographs. You know, maybe that would be quite nice. You know, you can print anything. So you're not limited by, you know, you're only limited by your own creativity. So I'm going to leave some links to where I bought this transfer paper. I think it's a pretty good pack. In fact, let's see, it doesn't actually, it tells you, it says another great product from Signal. So that's all I've got from here, but I'll actually just tell you who the vendor is in my link down below from eBay. Please feel free to leave comments or questions down below on this. The one thing I will just say is be very careful if you're ironing this. I think iron it inside out, because You know that this was applied using an iron. Yeah, the iron melted the glue to get it on here. So if you're ironing it afterwards, the iron will, you know, damage this glue and probably try to lift it. So maybe iron this inside out. Please feel free to subscribe as well. It doesn't cost you a penny, and then you get updated every time I make a new video. As ever, thanks for watching.